everyone, long time no talk. Welcome back to another furniture transformation. Today we're working on this gorgeous Salem House buffet. I saw this at Habitat and just had to have it. No questions asked. I didn't even have a buyer in mind for it at the time. Luckily, I ended up finding a buyer very quickly, and we went over some design ideas, and here is the video process of me transforming this server/buffet into my client's dream piece. Okay guys, so a little backstory on this piece. I found this on actually my birthday weekend, and I had some coupons for Habitat for Humanity. I wasn't planning on going there, but something told me to go, and I saw this piece and snagged it up so quick. I did have to go back to get it because it was a little bigger than the space in the back of my SUV. With the girls' car seats, but it all worked out in the end, and I am so happy I snagged this piece for, I think about, I'm going to say $30 after taxes. And I did my thing of showing this piece on my Instagram stories. If you guys are not following me on Instagram, I will put my username somewhere on the screen, just so you can go follow me. That's where I show my pieces as I find them, as I'm working on them, and it's really cool to have people join like the creative process with me. Anyways, I digress. One of my, she was a old schoolmate of mine, reached out to me on Instagram, or Facebook actually, and asked me to fix this up for her. She's been looking at my pieces quite often. I knew it was going to happen. I knew we were going to find a piece for her. And I was hoping when I bought this that this would end up being for her. And it did. I was so excited, so happy that I picked this up. So if you don't know by now, the first step of any furniture flip should be cleaning your piece. A lot of people skip this process. I actually had someone reach out to me and say he did not clean his piece, did not scuff, and just painted. And guys, that's not the way to go. If you want the best adhering paint job, best look of your piece, I always recommend cleaning it, even if like you're just doing it with some soapy water. That's usually what I use. Just wipe it down. It doesn't take that long, and it gives you a better finish, more flawless, and it will be a lasting finish. That's the important part, because you don't want to make something for someone and have them come back to you saying that it was damaged or the paint's peeling off because you didn't prep your piece that well. So that's my little word of advice. Go the extra mile, clean your piece. That's basics number one. So while I am cleaning my piece, I like to do as many repairs as possible just to make it easier on myself later on. So these two front doors were actually the only real repairs I needed to do on these, on this whole piece actually. The panels were separating, so what I ended up doing is I took some wood glue and I kind of like crammed it in the, I guess, joints, I guess you could call them, and I took some ratchet straps, is that what you call them? And I tried to bring the pieces as close together as possible. I had tried using a mallet, but that didn't work in getting them to kind of like lock better. So I feel like the ratchet straps really helped bring the different parts of the door closer together. I did end up putting some caulking in the seams because they weren't quite perfectly together. I just think with the age of this piece, there's some swelling in the wood at some point, and it just made it a little more difficult to bring those pieces together. I added caulking to the base as well. Everything was solid about this piece, so it's more about creating that seamless look before adding my paint, because once you prime and paint your piece, you are going to see any blemish that you missed along the way, and I just like to get it fixed and out of the way so I can continue on seamlessly with the rest of the painting process. So before I get to the priming and painting part, I want to strip this top. The finish on it was actually pretty thin. Just with the age, I think it just, wore away. And it didn't take much stripping to get this off. I ended up using my QCS stripper. This is my favorite stripper when I'm just trying to remove like a stained finish or a sealed finish. I've tried using it on paints and stuff, and it does get the paint off, but guys, this stuff is kind of expensive, and at this point, I am not sponsored by any companies, so using a whole bottle to strip down a piece that's painted is just kind of a lot, very expensive. It's like $35 a bottle. So I try to keep this stripper usage down to just stained and sealed tops or places that there's not a lot of finish to get through. Alright guys, so funny thing about me, I use Ralph's bags to tape off my pieces. I feel like it's really economical and helps me recycle these bags without feeling guilty. Really cool. I just cut them down to the size I need and then tape them up like any other plastic. So if you guys are in a pinch for supplies, this is a really cool hack. So on to the next step is scuff sanding. I don't know why I forgot to do this sooner. I don't know. It just is what it is. There wasn't really any scratches or anything on this piece, so I decided to hand sand. I used 120 grit sandpaper and I just scuffed up the surface on everything. It wasn't too slick, but it just gives me a little bit of tooth for my primer and paint to stick to. I am using a new product to me at least. This is the Lilly Moon paint. What is this? The Eclipse? Is it the Eclipse primer? I'm not sure. It's their bonding primer, guys. I will link it down below. I do have a coupon code for 10% off if you ever decide to buy from Lilly Moon Paint. I actually loved this. I think I need to get a little better at, I guess, watering it down for spraying, but this was my first time and I cut myself some slack because I'd never used it before. So after letting my primer dry for the recommended dry time, I went in with my color, which is Fusion Mineral Paint Bayberry. This is actually the second time I've used this color. The first time I used it on a set, and I feel like this is like a chameleon color, guys, because the set looked so much more different than this ended up looking. It's so strange because it's the same color, but with different stain combos and everything, it just came out different. So I went in with 2 coats of this paint and I sanded in between coats, starting from the primer all the way to the end with a 600 grit sandpaper. I really like to sand with like 1,000 grit in between, but I didn't have any at the time, so 600 had to be the grit I used this time. Okay guys, so very unlike me, I hand sanded the top of this piece, mainly because I didn't have any deep gouges or scratches that I needed to sand through. So I just ended up sanding the top with a 180 grit just to open up the pores a little bit for the wood to accept the stain I'm working with. Normally I condition before I add stain, but I knew this was a hardwood and I had no doubts of a blotchy finish. But if you guys are wondering or like confused about a piece of wood, I would highly recommend conditioning. Better safe than sorry. In this case, I just knew, so I felt confident in adding the stain. This is actually Varathane's provincial stain, and I feel like it just highlighted that it's not tiger oak, but it's got like tiger stripes. This is maple, but it just like highlighted the beautiful wood grain on this top. Okay guys, so on to the last stage of this whole piece. I'm adding the top coat. I don't know why, lately top coating my pieces has been so satisfying. Maybe because I've found like my go-to method that gives me a super flawless finish. I don't know what else it could be because I just love doing this now. This is actually Minwax's, I think it's called a triple coat poly. I will link it down below if I can remember. I'm using the satin finish, and the trick for me is I like to add a little bit of water and mist my surface, paint thin layers of this. The thinner your coats are, the easier it is to sand down any brush lines or whatnot, and then you can just keep adding as many coats as you want. Even though this is a triple thick poly, I did do 3 coats of this just because I'm watering it down in between coats, and I just feel like it gives me more of a smooth finish. I also forgot to mention that I am sanding in between each layer. I've been using these really cool sanding pads. They're dolphin pads. You can get a fine grit or extra fine grit. I use the extra fine, and it just knocks down any bumps or ridges, and the more you use it, I feel like the more flawless your finish ends up being. So before I show you the final result, let's just remember what this piece looked like before. And it wasn't bad, it didn't look terrible, but it just needed a little TLC and pick me up. And guys, this is how this piece ended up looking. So excited. Guys, this piece came out so stunningly gorgeous. I am in love. She is actually on her way to Oregon as we speak. I'm so excited. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment your favorite part of this video. I will see you guys next time. Until then, so long, take care, goodbye.